Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I have a really exciting story that I wanted to share with everybody. I'm here talking with my friend Gordon Beck from Valor Intelligent Processing. How you doing today, Gordon?
I'm great, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing well. Gordon is located in Jacksonville, Florida. He has run some very large agencies and has recently been through a startup and an acquisition, which is kind of what I want to talk about today. Such an exciting overall topic. From my perspective, I met Gordon originally when he was speaking at a conference. I was sitting in the audience. I watched Gordon give a presentation on what debt collection should be and where we should be going as an industry. And honestly, was just floored by the entire presentation. Immediately went up to him and started talking to him after the presentation. And we've been friends now for more than a few years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that day very well.
So now that Gordon has gone through a start, going from a big organization, going through a startup, and then going through the process of an acquisition, why don't you tell us a little bit about Valor Intelligent Processing and what you guys do there?
Well, I spent a great deal of my career trying to be one of those many great people in our industry that's going to go out there and change the image of the entire collection industry. It's always been kind of a goal and a dream of mine to own my own agency. And Valor is called Valor for that very reason. I feel like that is a great adjective to describe how we want to go about doing this job on a daily basis and how we want others outside of our industry to look at companies like Valor and what we do every day as a positive that has integrity, that is something you can believe in, and is not so to speak, I don't know what probably the best adjective is, but I'll tell you from my heart, my perspective, a negative industry. I didn't even want to say it. It kind of pained me to, but we aren't. Our industry is something that not only am I in love with and proud of, but the people are phenomenal. And so I, along with my two partners, Clyde and Anthony, built a new agency that was going to start and do things a little bit differently. The foundation of our agency was always going to be our people. That's something I've believed in since I was 19 years old and started making phone calls myself. But we were going to be an agency that could not only represent our clients and do things in the third-party collection realm from a performance perspective at a very high level, legally, morally, and ethically, but also that we can utilize our skills and talents to open the doors to things that we haven't done before that also require great people and a telephone. And so Valor, in a very short time, has been able to become multidimensional. And by sticking true to our word, and our word being the name of our company, doing things the right way, so far things have been off to a great start.
Well, that's fantastic. For those of you that have been following me on YouTube for a while, I actually visited Gordon's office last year and had a chance to take a tour when they were still in their infancy. And they had this amazing facility, and there wasn't a ton of people there yet, but it sounds like things have changed pretty dramatically.
I hate to say it, but as a result of, the COVID virus, we did take advantage of opportunities that were presented to us through our enterprise. And that was doing some work in the government fields of customer service as it relates to unemployment, contact tracing, and things of that nature. But at that time, we were about 8 months since the day that we opened the business. We started working accounts that were much older. We proved ourselves. And, no matter how long you've been in this business or no matter what you've accomplished, I'm living proof that, you start something new, you got to prove yourself. And that we wanted it no other way. We knew that nothing would be handed to us just because of our past feats and accomplishments. It just doesn't work that way in our industry, which is why our industry is legitimate in the first place. Earning those opportunities with the clients that I've worked with and new clients as well, coupled with the opportunities in the BPO arena, and then of course shortly after the acquisition that we were able to go through, we have grown from what we started with, which was about 40 agents in July of last year, to now in a little over 13, almost 14 months, 627 agents and 3 locations across the country. So, so far, the start, it's much bigger than I ever imagined it would be. But I didn't have that expectation. All I had the expectation is that our people would come in every day and give a perfect effort. There's a big difference between being perfect and giving that perfect effort. One is obtainable, one is not. And by giving that perfect effort, we knew things would fall and land where they needed to land. So there was no goal in mind. We just were going to come out swinging and do the very best and let that take us where it would take us.
So it sounds like you guys have leveraged economies of scope to basically use the infrastructure and people that you had in place to pivot a little bit and be able to operate under that BPO guideline. Gave you a little bit more time to grow as well. And as you guys have proven yourselves, I mean, to go from 40 to 640 in that kind of a time period is really just, I mean, it's amazing. And I know that we've been kind of chatting back and forth offline here about kind of as you've been going through these acquisitions and those kinds of things. So, tell us a little bit about what that acquisition is like, because it feels like we're going to see a lot more of that over the next couple of years. And I'm sure people are very interested to understand, from an ownership and from a leadership perspective, what does going through something like that mean? And how do you maintain the same high level of quality that you demand on a daily basis?
It's funny because I think a lot of times when I would speak in the industry about people and about culture and about atmosphere, I think that it kind of becomes cliche. Everybody's got the best environment, everybody's got the best people. We all know how important it is, but I truly proved to myself how important it was through this acquisition, because one of the things that my CEO of Valor, Anthony Marlowe, also who is the CEO of the MCI full family of companies, he's done many of these acquisitions, whereas I built my previous company completely organic and have had plans to do Valor the same. When you combine the want to do things organically through performance and a good foundation of people, and you take ownership that is willing to make investments to do acquisitions on top of it, that is a great recipe. So we did our first one, and one thing that I remember during the due diligence phase was going to Dallas, Texas, and meeting the core of the employees that we were looking at. Mm-hmm. And I had not looked deep into the financials, the P&L, the strategies, the contracts. All of that, to me, which would be first for so many, was the back burner. I wanted to meet the people. And I knew that it was a good decision before I ever really dug into any paperwork at all. And that, to me, was a great vindication that everything that I've preached over the years was not just smoke and mirrors. It wasn't just painting the sky bluer. It's legitimate. Great people make great companies. And what we have accomplished in just 90 days since starting with that company was not accomplished in the previous 4 decades by the company that we acquired. And it was, a lot of that had to do with nothing to do with the people. It had to do with the fact that the people themselves, they were not, in my opinion, given that gel and that bond that's necessary in working with one another to express their thoughts, their mindset, their ideas, the things that they wanted. And so you don't acquire companies because they're bad. You acquire companies because of situations. So this is in no way anything to do with the company that we made the acquisition with. It was a great, great, great company. The people, however, that is where I think I specialize in getting the most out of people, getting them to buy into the ideas that this is a awesome future, an awesome career opportunity, and that we're accomplishing special things that go far beyond making a dollar bill. So that if I took one thing away, it is what I was hoping to take away, and that is the people are what make the difference, that you're buying the people.
And that's a true statement. I've been through a few acquisitions, sold an organization last year, ComplyArm, and I've been through some acquisitions in the past as well. And it really, you're right, the finances, the contracts, all these other things are almost ancillary, because if you don't have a cultural fit, it's never going to work. And if there's one thing that really excited me about working with you in the past and kind of getting to know your organization and coming up to visit, I mean, the big thing for me coming to visit was to learn about how you're managing culture, and not just a culture that you inherited, but a culture that you have ultimately created from your own desire, right? And we always go back to the Theory X and Theory Y styles of management with Douglas McGregor. And, some people work hard enough not to get fired, and some people work hard because of their own self-worth. And I think that as I've watched you speak and as I visited your offices and those kinds of things, that's what I've really seen, is that very few people can take an X and make them a Y, right? There's just not a lot of people out there that can do that, but you kind of fill people with the motivation to improve themselves. It's not come do this for me, it's do this for yourself, and then we can all benefit together. And to me, I just think it's an incredible approach to leadership in general, and why every time I know that you're speaking, like, that always ends up on my calendar, regardless of what conference we're at or how many meetings I have scheduled. So take that for what it's worth. But, kind of to follow up on that a little bit, what was the big, like, you've always been a people person. Is there anything that you learned through this acquisition process that you would want to share with everybody? Like, hey, don't forget about the X, Y, or Z. You really need to stay focused.
Yeah, actually, there was some very important things that I learned, and this is the people aside. I think that I wanted to make that point, but the truth is, dollars and cents, contracts, strategies, all of that has to be looked at carefully. The contracts with the clients that are involved, that's paramount. Knowing exactly how those clients pay, where the performance is of the agency as it relates to that contract, what's at stake to gain and what's at stake to lose. If not fully explained, can be overlooked and somewhat, thrown under the rug, thinking we'll deal with that later. And I can assure you that that is where many acquisitions I have seen over the years of watching so many great agencies sell and completely disappear in 12 months. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this industry is based on performance and building longevity with your clients. And I will never lose a client, because clients are gold. Clients mean everything to us, but performing for them and know what you stand to gain and lose if you do or don't is something that if it would have been overlooked in this case, or in many cases, it could have created a disaster.
So that's an amazing point. So one of my professors in college, when I was finishing my MBA, used to say the same thing in class all the time. There's three things that matter in business: the cash flow, the timing of the cash flow, and the risk associated with that cash flow. And it sounds like, aside from the people, right, which I think we can all agree is the primary factor behind any organization, right? Like, that's the primary driver. But if you're not going to look at that cash flow, the timing of that cash flow, and the risks that you have to put forward or accept in order to generate that cash flow, sounds like exactly what you're saying. So, I mean, since we're all in Florida, we may have to go have lunch with him one of these days, just to extend that conversation a little bit.
Anytime, brother.
So anything exciting in the works for 2021? Anything we should be expecting to see from you over the next year?
We're absolutely going to look to continue to grow through performance, and again, organically. That is going to be our everyday theme. But again, my two partners at Valor, Clyde and Anthony, the three of us have all three different, unique perspectives that all marry so nicely. And as long as Anthony is continuing to be out looking for opportunities for Valor to do more acquisitions, we will absolutely do another acquisition in 2021. We will do one in 2022, and we will do one in 2023 and beyond. We will do multiple if they're available. And we look for opportunities where, there are real life situations that have happened to these companies out there, especially in the arms space. Mm-hmm. Some have greatly benefited, but some have been absolutely terrorized by it. Those companies don't need to go out of business. They need to find a good suitor that can help come in and infuse them with not only money, but also the right mindset, ideas, positivity, and of course, the ability to build a culture. And so many great agencies out there that might be in trouble can be saved if the right suitor is there. We hope to be that suitor when the time comes.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I very much look forward to watching the progression of Valor Intelligent Processing. I think you guys have done a fantastic job. I've been very lucky to have an opportunity to work with you a little bit at the beginning under the ComplyArm umbrella, and now getting to kind of sit back and watch one of my friends really start to execute on all those things that we talked about, a year plus ago, all these goals that you set, and watching them actually get checked off and achieved is really just incredible. I love seeing my friends get to that point and execute like that. It's just really amazing from my perspective. So I can't thank you enough for coming on and spending a few minutes chatting with us here today. For those of you watching, if you have any additional guests that you feel like you'd like to see us interview, any topics you'd like to see us cover with various guests, please comment below, share our content, or share your thoughts. We're really having a lot of fun creating this content with our various friends around the industry. And so we really appreciate everybody's support. So thank you so much, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.